Today, let's get started with Jon Jones receiving a new charge for hit and run. After already being charged for leaving the scene of an accident that happened in February, Jones has now been hit with what MMA fighting calls a duplicate charge for the exact same incident. Also included is another charge described as use of telephone to terrify, intimidate, threaten, harass, annoy, or offend. Before we continue, don't forget to leave a like on the video to support the channel. Jones's attorney immediately filed a motion to dismiss. According to MMA Fighting, he stated, "Put simply, Mr. Jones is already facing prosecution in a separate case for the same allegations. It's wholly improper for this second case to even exist. The incidents are one and the same." Right now, Jones is stuck defending himself in two different cases based on the same set of facts. It's unclear why the Albuquerque Police Department didn't coordinate internally. Was it poor communication or something more strategic? The defense believes the officers may have intentionally violated legal rules for some improper reason. Either way, Jones has essentially been charged twice for the same thing, and his lawyers say this should be thrown out immediately. Amid all this legal trouble, Jones is still teasing a return. In a recent YouTube video, Daniel Cormier gave his take. His reaction? Why? He thought Jones was just trolling, especially since fans are eager to see him fight Tom Aspinall. But Cormier's main issue? Jones is playing with people's emotions. Don't toy with the fans. Either fight or hit the door. He believes Jones doesn't really have a choice. If he comes back, it has to be against a spinal. Meanwhile, Jones continues to stir excitement online. He tweeted, "Donald made his announcement the morning of July 4th. I called UFC headquarters that same afternoon. I'll just leave it at that. America, now that tickles my pickle." He added, "It's about the opportunity to represent America at the White House. I don't care who I fight. I found my reason. It's about more than money." When a fan accused him of ducking a Spanev, Jones replied, "Choosing when to attack and where the battlefield is, that's not ducking." According to Dana White, who spoke with the Nelk Boys, a Jones versus Aspinall fight is his dream main event for a potential pay-per-view at the White House. "You jump back in the pool," he said, reacting to Jones re-entering the testing pool. Dana said no matter who's on the card, it's going to be an incredible event. Could McGregor fight on that card too? Dana says maybe, and McGregor hinted at it himself during a BKFC press conference. "It's looking like I'm headed to the OVL office again. That's my next destination, but I'll support these men all the way." Could this be what finally motivates McGregor to make his long-awaited return? Moving on, let's talk about a debate that's really heating up. Does Islam Makhachev truly deserve a welterweight title shot? Well, Wonderboy Thompson strongly disagrees. He's definitely not happy about the UFC's reported decision to match Islam Makhachev with the newly crowned welterweight champion Jack Della Maddalena. And according to him, other welterweight contenders should be just as frustrated. In an interview with MMA Junkie, Wonderboy didn't hold back. He said that if he were Shavkat Rakhmonov or Ian Gary, he'd be pretty pissed right now. And honestly, he's got a point. Both Rakhmonov and Gary have been doing everything right. They've been climbing the ranks the traditional way, beating top contenders, taking tough fights, and working their way up the ladder. Yet here comes Islam, a lightweight champ, seemingly cutting in line and getting a shot at gold in a new division. And he hasn't even fought a single welterweight yet. Wonderboy's message is loud and clear. Jack Della Maddalena just won the title, and instead of defending it against one of the top welterweights who's earned their shot, he's now entertaining a super fight with someone from a completely different division. It just doesn't sit right with a lot of people in the sport. Thompson believes that if Jack really wants to fight Islam, fine, but he should have to earn that fight. Islam should face at least one or two top welterweights before getting a title shot. Otherwise, it just feels like a shortcut, and when you allow shortcuts at the top, you risk disrespecting an entire division of fighters who've worked hard for their shot. Now, to be fair, while the frustration is understandable, it's also hard to overlook what Islam Makhachev has accomplished. His run at lightweight has been nothing short of dominant. He's dismantled his opponents, defended his belt, and maintained control at the top, all with an incredible level of consistency. Until Ilia Topuria moved up and shook things up, Islam was the clear force at 155. And although Islam vs. Jack isn't officially signed yet, it's widely expected to be the NXT big fight at 170. Dana White has mentioned this possibility multiple times, so it's not just a rumor, it's a real scenario the UFC is building toward. So now the question becomes, what's fair? Should Islam, with his incredible record, be given the opportunity based on his dominance alone? Or should he have to go through the gauntlet like every other welterweight contender? And what about Rakhmonov, the undefeated powerhouse, and Ian Gary, who's been steadily making noise in the division? If they keep getting passed over, what message does that send? What do you think? Does Islam deserve the title shot at 170 right now, or should JDM be required to defend his belt against a legit welterweight contender first? Let us know in the comments. Moving on, let's address a rumor that stirred up the MMA world. You probably heard people saying that Khamzat Chimaev might retire if he beats Dricus du Plessis at UFC 319. But let's be clear, those rumors have been completely debunked. It all started when his former teammate Caio Borralho claimed that Khamzat was struggling with health issues and facing heavy pressure from his home country. According to him, retirement was a serious possibility. The internet picked it up, fans started buzzing, and it quickly became a major talking point. But those rumors didn't last long. People close to Khamzat who actually know what's going on stepped in. The most credible voice came from Ali Abdelaziz, who is extremely tight with Khamzat and has managed several major fighters. Ali wasted no time shutting the rumors down. He assured everyone that Khamzat is healthy, focused, and currently training in Russia. He said Khamzat is locked in, committed to his combat career, and not thinking about retirement at all. Also, let's not forget, Caio Borralho has a bit of a reputation in the MMA community. He's been known to spread misinformation and stir the pot for attention, so this wasn't exactly coming from a reliable source. Still, the fact that it gained traction shows just how much attention Khamzat draws. But here's the thing, even though the retirement talk was fake, it did spark a different conversation. Can Khamzat go the distance in a tough 5-round war? That's the real question, heading into this fight with Dricus du Plessis, because while Chimaev is an absolute monster in the early rounds, just an unstoppable force, people are wondering if he has the gas tank to go deep. Even Ali admitted that ever since Khamzat had COVID, his cardio hasn't been the same. That raises serious questions, especially with someone like Dricus, who pushes a relentless pace in rounds 3, 4, and 5. Chima's reputation as an early round destroyer is well earned. He overwhelms opponents fast, swarming them with pressure, power, and pure aggression. But if DDP survives that early storm, the real test begins. Can Khamzat hold up if the fight turns into a battle of will and endurance? And that's what makes this matchup so intriguing. Who walks out with the middleweight belt this summer? That's what everyone wants to know. Let us know what you think in the comments. People who've worked with Khamzat say the same thing. Sure, he comes off as wild, intense, even a little crazy, but deep down, he's got a good heart. He never had cardio problems before COVID. That illness really did a number on him. Bleeding, throwing up. It was one of the craziest things his team had ever seen, especially when he was training in Vegas. Khamzat's also dealt with constant travel, media pressure, and the weight of being a superstar. It took a toll. At one point, he was his own boss, coaching himself. But now, he's back in Russia, back in camp, and more focused than ever. And when Khamzat is healthy and locked in, it's hard to bet against him. On any given day, he can beat anyone. Moving on, Jon Anik recently shared his thoughts on the possibility of Holloway vs Topuria 2, and how Max Holloway's upcoming fight with Dustin Poirier could impact that. According to Jon, the outcome of this fight isn't going to change much in terms of Max's long-term standing in the sport. Even if Holloway comes up short against Poirier, Anik believes his NX fight would still be a title eliminator. And that's all because of how big his name is and how much weight it carries within the UFC. Let's be real here, Max Holloway is a star. He's one of the most respected and beloved fighters in the entire sport. His resume is elite, his fighting style is electric, and fans absolutely love watching him compete. Even after a loss, the UFC isn't going to stick Max on some random prelim. He's just too important. However, that doesn't mean there are no consequences. His stock will definitely take a hit if he loses to Poirier. At that point, he would have major losses across 2 divisions, and for some fans, that could be the moment they start turning the page. Not because they don't still respect him, but because watching your favorite fighter come up short repeatedly gets hard. Momentum matters, hype matters, and even legends need wins to stay in the spotlight. If Max drops this fight, especially in a high-profile matchup like this, it's going to be tougher for the UFC to justify giving him more title shots without something significant in the win column. That said, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Max Holloway absolutely has a shot in this fight. Let's not forget their last encounter was an absolute 5-round war, and in that fight, Max showed off the toughness and heart that made him a fan favorite in the first place. And while this is a massive moment for Dustin Poirier, who has openly called this his retirement fight, it might be an even bigger turning point for Max. This could be the fight that shapes the rest of his career. There are still so many big fights available for Holloway, especially at 155 pounds. Even if he decides to drop back down to 145, depending on who holds the belt, he can still make that weight. And believe it or not, this is a man who's even talked about fighting at 185 pounds one day. That's how determined and versatile he is. Think about the potential. The Talba rematch in a different weight class would be massive. A rematch with Charles Oliveira, who Holloway fought way back in 2015. A fight that ended early due to injury. Also has a lot of intrigue. The possibilities are endless. Bottom line, even if Max Holloway loses to Dustin Poirier at UFC 318, he's still gonna be in a lightweight title eliminator. And right now, he's actually the betting favorite to win. Moving on, let's talk about some major headlines coming out of the Full Send podcast, where Dana White dropped a few bombshells, starting with a potential super fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. According to Dana, if Islam defeats Jack Della Maddalena and becomes the new welterweight champion, one of the biggest matchups he'd want to see next is Islam versus Ilia. And he didn't hold back on the hype, he straight up called it a massive fight. He said that once Islam becomes a two-division champ, lightweight and welterweight, the next logical and exciting move would be to put him in a historic clash against Ilia Topuria. Think about that. A pound-for-pound showdown between two of the most dominant and technical fighters in the game. Both guys are in their prime, both undefeated in the UFC, and both have insane fan bases behind them. It's the kind of fight that could headline any card in any arena anywhere in the world. But what if that card ends up at the White House? Yes, you heard that right. Dana White also revealed new updates about the long-rumored UFC event at the White House. Something that, let's be honest, sounded like a wild idea at first. But now, it's looking more and more real. Dana confirmed that Jon Jones has officially re-entered the UFC's testing pool, a huge move that signals he's serious about returning to action, and possibly that return could happen on the card at the White House. Dana said he and Jon were texting back and forth that day, 4, maybe 5 times, just hours after President Trump's unexpected announcement. And here's what's even crazier. Dana said President Trump never even told him he was going to announce it. They had already done a walkthrough of the White House. The UFC production team had been there, done all the logistics, and were already working on the layout. Now, the UFC is preparing to formally pitch the event to President Trump in the next week or two. Dana said it's so unique, so bad, so once ever. You could feel how excited he was just talking about it. He described how one side of the fight would have the White House in the background, the other side the Washington Monument, a once-in-a-lifetime visual for a UFC pay-per-view. And here's the wild part. Everybody wants to fight on this card. Literally everybody. Fighters from every division are already reaching out to get on this historic event. Because this isn't just another fight night. This is the kind of thing that becomes part of UFC history. So just imagine it. Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. Jon Jones possibly returning. Conor McGregor maybe even getting in the mix. All going down on the front lawn of the White House. Yeah, this is gonna be something special. Finally, let's shift gears and talk about something a little different, but still very Dana White. The UFC president recently showed off his personal card collection, and it's worth over $1 million. Yeah, you heard that right, $1 million in trading cards. During a recent behind-the-scenes conversation, someone asked, "Oh, you haven't seen that yet. Any new additions?" And Dana smiled and said, "You know, I started being a card collector now. Back in the day, you'd just put your cards in a safe somewhere, right? But now, they build these high-end safes where you can actually display them." He then started pointing out some of his favorite and most valuable cards from the collection, and it's stacked with legends. "That's the Jordan rookie right there," he said casually before moving on. "Sorry, right here is the Tom Brady refractor, and there's only 7 of these that exist in the entire world." He wasn't done. "Got the Tiger, got the KO, B. I loved your boy Puka. That's Puka right there. I got 2 Pukas." He even paused, trying to identify one card and asked, "Who's that? Magic? I can't see." "Yeah, that's Magic." At that point, the obvious question came up. What's the most valuable card in the entire collection? Dana thought about it, then answered, "Tom Pime, oh wait, Jordan, right? Yeah, either the Jordan rookie year card, or," and then someone interrupted, clearly in shock, "Holy, that Jordan card is signed, right?" Dana nodded. "Yeah, Jordan signed that card. It's worth $5 million bucks." "That's right, $5 million for one card." Then came the follow-up question. "Wait, that's not the signed one, is it?" And Dana responded, "No, that one's not signed, but what do you think it's worth, even without the signature?" Someone threw out a guess. 400 grand? And Dana nodded again. "Holy grand," someone whispered, completely stunned by the value. And then the final question, the big one. What's the total value of this entire collection? Dana looked around at all the rare cards, legends, and exclusive prints and casually dropped the number, over $1 million. The collection includes cards from the absolute icons of sports: Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, and newer stars like Puka Nacua. Each card is carefully stored, displayed, and protected in custom-built safes that not only keep them secure, but allow Dana to actually enjoy looking at them. So yeah, Dana White isn't just the boss of the fight game, he's now deep into the card game too. And if you thought his love for UFC was serious, wait until you see how fired up he gets over a rookie refractor.